Hello, this is Mrs. Pickett, and we're going to take notes over lesson 2.9, compound inequalities. So we're kind of going to build off of the lesson that we did yesterday, which is regular solving multi-step inequalities. You guys did a great job. This video is going to come in two parts. So there are two types of compound inequalities. The first type is OR, which we're going to talk about in this video, and then the second type is an AND inequality. All right, so make sure you have your notebook out. Let me change color here. And then write down that this is lesson 2.9. Again, you can either have this printed out or just write it directly in your notebook. So compound inequalities are two inequalities. Okay, so we're going to combine them now. Or more. You could have more. For our purposes, we'll probably just stick with mostly two. But two or more that are joined together with and, so the actual words here we're talking about, or. Okay? So the first type is an OR inequalities. They tend to have a graph, their graph is graphed apart, like we're going to go in opposite directions. So if you look right here, okay, we have one inequality, x is less than or equal to -2. So we're going to graph that one, all right? So we know that if it's less than or equal to, it's closed. So I would go to -2, and I would have a closed circle. And it says x has to be less than, so I would shade to the left. Then I have a second inequality here, and it says x is greater than 3. So for this one, I have to go to 3, and it'll be an open circle, okay, because it's just greater than. And since it's greater, now I shade to the right. So see how your graph is apart? They're going opposite directions. So you're going to find your points, and then the arrows are going to go, or the shading's going to go opposite directions, okay? So if we do a couple examples. So this first one here, it says that we're going to solve, graph, then write the solution in interval notation. So when you solve, you're actually going to solve both inequalities. So see right here, we have one here. So you're going to solve this inequality. So I'm going to draw a line down, and I know in order to solve, I need to add 4 to both sides. And so I have x is less than, and that's going to give me a +3, -7 plus 4. Then I have to come over here and solve the second equation, same thing. Now I'm going to divide by 2. And so my other inequality here is that x is greater than or equal to 6. So see, now I have two separate answers. I have x is less than 3, or, remember that word, x is greater than or equal to 6. And now I need to graph this on my number line. Oops, didn't mean to hit that, sorry. So I'm going to graph the first one, x is less than 3. So we're going to go to 3. And it's going to be an open circle. And then I'm going to shade to the right, or you can draw your arrow, however you want to show it. I usually just shade, okay? The other one is, oops, I just did that wrong. Scratch that. I'm not paying attention here. X is less than 3. I was looking at the 6th one. I don't know what I was doing. Oh, yeah, we got to start. Miss Pickett made a mistake. Look right here. -7 plus 4. This should be -3. That's why it wasn't working. My bad. So back up a minute here. -7 plus 4 should be -3. See there why it wasn't working out? So I'm at -3 with an open circle. See, even I make mistakes, so don't feel bad. And we're going to shade this direction. All right. So just to recap here, when we add 4, -7 plus 4 should be a -3. I just forgot my negative sign. All right. Now, when we go to the next one, x is greater than or equal to 6. We're going to go to 6. We're going to fill this circle in because it's greater than or equal to. And then this one I'm going to shade to the right, or draw my arrow to the right. Okay, now we need to do interval notation. Remember, that's where you have the brackets or the parenthesis. Remember, and I should have shown you this in the example and I forgot. So we have this side is our negative infinity and this side is positive infinity, okay? So when I write my interval notation, so the first one here where I was at x is less than -3, I'm going to have parenthesis, negative infinity, because that's the lowest it'll go, and then -3, parenthesis, because it was not included, okay? Then I'm going to write the word or, and I have to do the other direction. Now this one, since it was closed or it was greater than or equal to, the circle's closed, that's going to be a hard bracket here with 6 and then positive infinity, parenthesis, okay? Let's try another one. Let's jump down here. Let's do number 3 just to give us a little space here, okay? I'm going to zoom this in. All right, so step 1, we need to solve both inequalities. So I'm going to subtract 9. Now I have 2x is greater than 17 minus 9 is going to give us an 8. Now we're going to divide by 2. X is greater than 4. All right, be checking my work, guys. Or, now we're going to look at this one. I'm going to use a different color here. So now on this one I'm going to subtract 10. So I have 5x is less than, that's 0. Divide by 5. X is less than 0. So there are my two answers, all right? Now, when I go to write this, you usually write the smallest one first. So actually, I would say, for my final answer, x is going to be less than 0 or x is greater than 4. This is what we need to graph on the number line and show in our interval notation. So x was greater than 4, so I'm going to go to 4, have an open circle here. Since it's greater than, we're going to shade to the right. And then the green one that we solved, x was less than 0, open circle at 0. We're going to shade to the left. Okay? Now we have to write our interval notation. So I'm going to do it in this order. Okay, we're going to start with the smallest one first. So x is less than 0. So I have parenthesis, negative infinity, comma, 0, parenthesis, or I'm going to have a parenthesis again because none of these were filled in circle, 4, comma, positive infinity. I need to get better at drawing these infinity signs. There we go. All right, that's it. Let's we'll try one more here, a little more complicated, one with the distributive property. So we're going to solve this one. So I'm going to distribute first. So -3 times 2 is going to give me a -6x. -3 times 1 is -3, which is less than -15. Now I'm going to add 3. -6x is less than a -12. We're going to divide both sides by -6. And so now remember what happens when we divide by a negative here, we have to change the direction of our sign. We have to flip it. So now it's going to be that x is greater than 2. Okay, so there's my first answer. Let me use a different color. So now on this one we have 1 minus x is greater than or equal to 5. So I'm going to subtract 1. This cancels out. Now remember to bring this down. I have a -1x. That's what number is right here even though we don't see it. Greater than or equal to 5 minus 1 is 4. Now I'm going to divide by the -1. Again, we're dividing by a negative, so I have to switch the direction of my sign. X is now less than or equal to a -4. Okay? Now, if we're going to write out our final answer, remember we write the smallest one first. So we should get x is less than or equal to -4, or x is greater than 2. Okay, now we're going to graph it on the number line. So I'll try to use the same color. So the green side was x is less than or negative 4. So I'm at negative 4, filled in circle, shade to the left. Okay, and then for the red, we had x was greater than 2, so I'm going to have an open circle, shade to the right. Okay, and then the last thing that we need to do is do our interval notation. So I'll write that in pink because that's going to follow just like our answer is written. So I have parenthesis, negative infinity, comma, negative 4. Now this is going to be a hard bracket because 4 is included. Or, you always got to put that word in there, parenthesis 2, comma, positive infinity. Close that parenthesis. Okay, so we're going to stop here. You have a second video to watch for tonight. All right, any questions? I would say some of the blank ones, if you want to practice on your own, give it a try, and then we will talk about this in class tomorrow. All right, have a great night.